Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm your host, Kate Burgess. Festival time! Naples has so much going on during the low season that it would be silly to visit any other time. From nativity scenes to fireworks to homemade pasta sauce from Nonna that you can take home to your loved ones. Naples has it all. Hope you enjoy. Hi, Andrea. Welcome back to Low Season Traveller Insider Guide podcast. How are you doing from your beautiful home in Lake Como?
All great today. Thanks so much, Kate. Another beautiful day here. So looking forward to being out and about on the lake a little bit later.
Oh, wonderful. So I'm very excited to talk about the festival season in Naples and the surrounding region. It's pretty rare that these locations have so much going on during the low season, but honestly, Naples and beyond seems like it just has too much going on to do. And at the beginning of December, the most renowned event is the opening of the opera season at San Carlo Theatre. And this question may sound a little naive because I can tell you that Australia, we do not have an opera season. So what is an opera season?
So basically, Kate, and you mentioned, I should say you mentioned San Carlo Theatre. I don't know whether you're aware, but it's actually a UNESCO, a World Heritage Site. And I believe it is the oldest continuously active opera house in the world. It was founded back in 1737. I'm not sure in Australia if you have anything that was founded back in 1737 that's still used.
We weren't founded yet. Australia had not been colonized by that point. Obviously, we had our Aboriginal people here, but no, the British had not landed here by that time. So nothing dates back to then at all.
Yeah. So also, Kate, it's a huge theatre as well. It really is one of our largest in Italy, seating almost 1,400 people. So quite a theatre. However, you mentioned about the opera theatre. Basically, our season is when we'll have the opening night, the big opening night, when all of the VIPs are out there and everybody's in their posh frocks and their high heels and feeling very, very elegant. And then that usually, it's just a series of different operas. Sometimes I have the same opera, which will be going for X amount of dates. But then they really will usually be a lot going on. And lots of names, operas of big names that we all recognize, Paganini, Rossini, Donizetti, Puccini, Monteverdi, Vivaldi, of course, which many people know. There's really a lot going on, and it's a very, very busy time.
So it starts at the beginning of December. How long does the opera season last?
Usually goes on for a good 3 or 4 months. Yeah. And then we often fall into what we would call the ballet season as well. They do like to mix and match the dates. So it's always worth, I think, when we are planning trips, to look at the calendar in advance, and also make sure, Kate, when we are reading the calendar, that it is actually an opera and it's not a concert and it's not a ballet as well. So that's one little tip that I wanted to throw in there, because so often we've had clients say, "Oh, I've got seats to the opera," and we check and it's like, "Oh, well, maybe it's not quite what you had in mind." So yeah.
But it also shows the extent of what is available during that time. It's like, if opera is not your thing, there is also concerts and ballet for you to see as well. It's just options for everyone.
Yeah, and also, Kate, during the same time, there's always a lot of, local festivals, often around food, because at the end of the day, everything in Italy is around food and wine, right?
That's why I love it.
Local festivals pop up, a lot of concerts as well with local choirs or local bands, musicians. The one thing I would say, Kate, is that we're not so great at here is communicating the dates of those local festivals so far in advance. So often, which is often a very nice surprise for our travelers, because when they get here and they realize all of these things are going on, it just adds a little bit more special things to their itinerary and to their stay.
I will admit, when doing my research on Naples, I was trying to look at what festivals were on when and in what month, and there was just no information whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I love that it can be a surprise, and there's definitely obviously some things that you can plan as well. Another major part of the festival season in Naples is Christmas. There is so much that revolves around it, and Naples is the world capital of the nativity scene. How did that start? Where did that history come from?
Okay, so wow, we're going even further back now, Kate. So definitely not even going to mention Australia at this point, okay?
Hmm.
So really, the custom of displaying a nativity scene, because in Naples it's all about the nativity scene without a doubt, that actually dates back to the 1200s, to when Saint Francis of Assisi is said to have staged the first recreation of the scene of Jesus's birth in the town of Greccio, Italy. And the nativity scene, which here is known as the presepio in Italian, after the Latin word for crib, use living people and animals. However, what they've now done in Naples is they now have an entire street dedicated 100% to artisans who are literally creating these beautiful figures, all of the different figures that would be part of a typical nativity scene. It's amazing.
Are they doing that all year round?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it is such a huge business in Naples that that is something that you can buy all year round. And also, for people who, a lot of, one thing we are seeing right now, Kate, is a lot of people want to, we say live as a local or live the Italian lifestyle. But what do I mean by that is people want to get their hands dirty. They want to make gelato. They want to learn how to make pizza. They want to learn how to make wine or pick grapes, but they also want to learn how to make these statues as well of the nativity scene. And we do actually have the opportunity to offer to our guests for them to go into a nativity scene workshop and meet the people who are actually creating these. They can either just have conversation or they can actually physically make the pieces also with their own hands.
That's wonderful. People are definitely looking for experiences a lot more when traveling. And so being part of that and being surrounded by it and having a whole street dedicated to it is very exciting. And as you said in our previous episode, just walking around is the best way to experience. Just keep walking and you'll see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as well, in that festival season comes New Year. And I know that the New Year's fireworks from Castel dell'Ovo, they sound spectacular. And I did look at some YouTube videos and wow, that is something that you would obviously be much better to experience in person, but something that I was blown away from over my computer. And so if people were wanting to experience these fireworks at this seaside castle, how do they do that? Is there a booking system? Do you just show up?
Okay, so okay, let me tell you how the whole thing works. So the evening actually starts with a great concert, which is organized in a nearby piazza. And that will really guide people to the countdown for midnight. And then you have the opportunity to move down to the seafront, actually to the castle itself. And this is where the fireworks display will be held. And it literally lights up the entire Gulf of Naples. It's absolutely, I don't know whether you've ever personally been to Naples, Kate, but when you're there on the seafront, you literally have this whole beautiful Gulf right in front of you. And you go all the way through to Sorrento, right down to the end of the peninsula. You have Capri off to the right-hand side. I mean, it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. One thing, however, we should mention is, unlike the majority of the celebrations here in Italy, the fireworks in Naples, they do not go off at midnight. They actually go off instead at 1:30 a.m. That actually
Okay.
allows you the time to enjoy the concert and then slowly make your way down from the piazza down to the waterfront. And of course, you have to stop along the way. Going back to my comment, it's all about the food and the drink here. Everybody's usually stopping as you go down. They're having glasses of wine, and they also eating lentils for good luck. That is something which is very much a big tradition. It's very much a huge thing for Naples, both for the locals and also people coming from all across Italy to be there for that actual event. The restaurants, the bars, they are full from early evening onwards. So you definitely need to book hotels, restaurants, of course, way in advance, despite the fact that, as you say, it's considered to be low season, because for us, low season in Naples is November through to the end of March.
I love that they do it at 1:30 a.m. Gives people the chance to enjoy the night. There's no rush to get anywhere. Enjoy the food along the way. That is something that I feel should be adopted everywhere. Just relax.
Yeah,
Take your time. Doesn't have to be done at
yeah.
midnight. That's
Just keep
fantastic.
eating.
Just keep eating.
Yeah.
So as well in Salerno during Christmas, there's an open air exhibition of lights and colors and flowers that are installed all over the city and the parks and the streets for everyone to enjoy that unique atmosphere. And I feel like reading about this, I feel like it's definitely something that you have to enjoy when you're rugged up. It's a bit cold, you have that chill of snow. And so, what can visitors expect visiting Salerno during this time?
Okay, so Kate, the actual event that you mentioned is called Le Luci di Artista. And it's literally light shows with installations along the streets and all of the public squares. It really is an amazing atmosphere. And that festival actually runs from November all the way through to the mid to late January. The dates, they generally, they move slightly year to year, so it's always best to check in advance. The light installations, they're turned on each evening at sunset, and they stay on into the night together with the traditional Christmas markets on the Lungomare Trieste waterfront. And also, all of the little squares everywhere is literally lit up. There's lots of little market stalls everywhere. It's just a fabulous atmosphere. And every single year in Salerno, they actually choose to change the theme, what's going on. For example, 2018, 2019 was all about sea life, whereas 2019, 2020 was all about the starry night sky. For the show itself, Kate, there is a giant 60-meter high Ferris wheel, which is installed in one of the main squares, the Piazza della Concordia. And that actually allows tourists and locals and visitors to enjoy the glittering Salerno almost from above, let's say. And as with many, many of our Italian cities, of course, we have lots of Christmas markets all the way along the seafront, all into the various squares and the streets, particularly in the historical part of Salerno. Also, what they are doing, Kate should mention, they have a lot of kind of what would you call them, market stalls where people are selling things that they've also made at home, including delicious local food as well. This actually generally stays open, those market stalls from 10 a.m. in the morning all the way through to 11:30 in the evening. So that is fantastic for our visitors because they can just go there, around any other plans that they actually have. And of course, we need the Christmas tree. We have often a 30-meter Christmas tree in one
Wow.
of the main squares, but usually the Christmas tree they put up around the beginning of December.
That just sounds wonderful. And I love that they change the theme each year. Every year you can go back and you're going to see something different. Christmas stalls with homemade goodies. Oh, there is nothing I want more than a nonna to make me pasta sauce and be able to take it home. That's the
Yeah.
dream.
And that's I think that is the wonder of Italy, Kate. We talk about all of the our history and these amazing buildings, and but when we talk to our travelers and when we talk to them about how was your trip after the trip, no one is ever telling us about a marble bathroom. No one is ever telling us about a historic building. It's all about Nonna, who they met, and she gave the local, the handmade sauce that she made from her apples in her garden, and it was the plant that her mother planted for her when she was a little girl. So it's about the story, and it's definitely all about the people.
I love that. It's the people that we touch, and that's why it's as well just amazing to visit during that low season because you are able to have that time with the locals and there's no rush around them, there's no crowds, and you really can connect with them and have a chat
Yeah,
with them and share food with them if there's a language barrier, just
absolutely,
celebrate
absolutely,
together.
absolutely.
And as well, I know that with a lot of art galleries there are some temporary exhibitions as well that happen during the low season. Which galleries have these on and what kind of exhibitions are they holding?
So, what kind of exhibition, Kate? it's continuously changing without a doubt. I think there's definitely something for everyone. And so, regarding these, what we would call temporary art exhibitions, it's something that we would always check for our guests in advance when we are planning their trips. They do have a lot of historical related museums there. We also have a lot of pop art museum galleries, exhibitions even. We also have something that we call arte povera. I'm not sure if you know that expression.
I don't know.
So if we were to translate it, it would be poor art, and it would basically be art which is made out of, the wood that you find on the shore of the sea, or as you're walking along the lake, the things that the lake has brought with the tide, the tide onto the beach areas that you would pick up and you would make art pieces of it. There's also a lot of conceptual art exhibitions and a lot of photography as well. They also have a lot of contemporary art spaces in Naples that can be used. I don't know whether you also know about the subway in Naples as well, Kate.
I didn't.
They actually have some of the most beautiful art, contemporary art in the subways of Naples. In fact, I think it was CNN, one of the US news channels, that actually said it was some of the most beautiful contemporary art they've ever seen, ever.
Wow. So you don't even have to go to a museum to see it. It's just in the street.
You don't even have to go to the museum. No.
That's magical. That is just absolutely wonderful to have that.
No. But you did ask me, I remember, I'm getting off track. You asked me about some of the main places where one could go. Madre is definitely a top destination for contemporary art lovers and one of the best contemporary art museums in all of Italy. Then we have the Largo Barocche art space, which is towards the Spanish Quarter, and the Palace for Arts in Naples as well. That is another place where we will definitely recommend as well.
So much to do, so little time. I pray that the Australian borders are back open by December, and I will be on.
When you said to me earlier, Kate, what can I do? What should I be doing in one day in Naples? I was like, what do you mean one day in Naples? You can't come to Naples and just have one day. No, I mean, you could literally stay a week in Naples, Kate, and you would still leave thinking, oh my goodness, I could have done so much more.
I will make sure to leave a lot more time then for my trip there.
You will love it. Just remember, bring the most comfortable shoes you have and walk.
I love that. And Andrea, of course, you are the owner of IC Bellagio, which is a tour operator within Italy. If people were looking to book tours in Naples, could you tell us a little bit about the tours that IC Bellagio offer?
Okay, so my favorite tours, of course, are the walking tours. We do obviously have the, what we would call the classical historical tours to learn all about the history, the beginnings of Naples. My favorite one is with the, what we call Naples with the local, with our born and bred guide who's taking you and introducing you to his Naples. Of course, the Archaeological Museum. We love to combine that with Pompeii and Herculaneum because I just think the two things go together and has many stories to tell. I would also recommend very highly what we would call our artisan tour. And one thing which we've just actually added, Kate, is something, again, food and wine related. It's our aperitivo tour of Naples. And it's basically, we head out with the guide usually around 5:30 in the afternoon, and we'll go to the aperitivo bars that our guide loves. And they will be the places where all of the locals frequent. And not only do you have the opportunity to enjoy the aperitivi and obviously the nibbles that come with it, but it's also a great way to be introduced to a lot of local people as well. Some of the best conversations and some of the most incredible memories have been built during that aperitivo tour.
I will be attending that one, definitely. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for your time and letting us all know about Naples. It sounds like a magical historical place, and I cannot wait to get there when we can.
See you soon.
Bye. Naples. It's all about the food and drink. Always. Even when we're talking about festivals, it's about the food and the wine. That is my kind of town. Thank you for listening. If you have any feedback or destinations you would like to hear more about, message us on our social channels at Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. Keep your travel dreams alive, and more now than ever, travel is better without the crowds.